President Trump hosted British Prime Minister Keir Starmer at the White House yesterday. During a joint press conference, Starmer addressed Trump's efforts to broker a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia, stressing the importance of ensuring that any agreement is handled correctly. Meanwhile, earlier in the day, President Trump commented on whether he believes Russia's Vladimir Putin would abide by the terms of a ceasefire if, in fact, it is reached.
Mr. President, I welcome your deep and personal commitment to bring peace and to stop the killing. You've created a moment of tremendous opportunity to reach a historic peace deal, a deal that I think would be celebrated in Ukraine and around the world. That is the prize. But we have to get it right. It can't be peace that rewards the aggressor or that gives encouragement to regimes like Iran. We agree history must be on the side of the peacemaker, not the invader. So the stakes, they couldn't be higher.
President, what would you be willing to do if Vladimir Putin did not stick to the terms of any deal on Ukraine?
If he not what?
If he did not stick to the terms of any deal on Ukraine, because he has a history of not sticking to his word when it comes to international agreements.
I think he'll keep his word. I think I've spoken to him. I've known him for a long time now. You know, we had to go through the Russian hoax together. That was not a good thing. It's not fair. That was a rigged deal and had nothing to do with Russia. It was a rigged deal with inside the country, and they had to put up with that too. They put up with a lot. It wasn't just us. They had to put up with it, with a phony story that was made up. I've known him for a long time now, and I think he will. I don't believe he's going to violate his word. I don't think he'll be back when we make a deal. I think the deal is going to hold.
Joe, before we get on and talk about Ukraine, we have to just pause right there. That statement was extraordinary. The President of the United States saying
it is.
He and Vladimir Putin went through the Russia hoax together. They were in this thing together, that people were out to get them, when it was well documented, whether you think the Trump campaign in 2016 sought the help or welcomed the help or not. It's not disputed that Russia put its thumb on the scale in that election, but he sees a partner in that fight and a fellow victim.
Every single one of Donald Trump's intelligence leaders that he selected, agency heads that he selected, believed, and it was the position of our government that Russia interfered in the 2016 election.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to jump to collusion on that? That's where the huge debate goes, and that's when you start hearing about Russia hoax. But there is no hoax behind the central fact that Russia interfered in the election for the benefit of Donald Trump. Whether he sought that help or not, again, that's been a raging debate since 2017. But even Marco Rubio, when he was running the Senate Intelligence Committee, Marco Rubio and Republicans said that Donald Trump's 2016 campaign and actors in it caused a direct counterintelligence threat to the United States of America's security. That's what Marco Rubio, that's what the Republican Senate Intel Committee said. And again, not to belabor this point, but there are just some things that have, stop the presses, and this is one of them. Again, our own intelligence agencies under Donald Trump, Susan Page, said that Russia interfered in the 2016 election. That's just, you could go into any courtroom in America and get judicial notice of that. It is it's common and it's established fact.
And it's not really even the fundamental origin of President Trump's admiration and alignment with Vladimir Putin. It is, though he cited it yesterday as kind of a formative experience, we know that that Donald Trump has been attracted to strong men, been willing to trust Vladimir Putin's assurances over those of his own intelligence agencies. I mean, it's one of the fundamental shifts we've seen in our foreign policy. And the other is the transactional nature of it. I mean, that's one thing that's so striking about the meeting with Zelensky today. When U.S. troops helped expel Iraqi forces from Kuwait, we didn't then demand that Kuwait provide us with some exchange to make up for the money we had spent there. This is a new endeavor on the part of the United States in modern times, and a very different sort of foreign policy.
You know, it's very, very interesting, Sam Stein. Let's pull back and look at the meeting with Keir Starmer yesterday. Also, look earlier in the week at the meeting with Macron. And you look at how these two Western European leaders interacted with Donald Trump. Somewhat different than the first term, where, more grimaced handshakes. Of course, Macron and Donald Trump still have the handshaking contest. I wonder how long that's going to last. But that's just a thing. Maybe they get Dana White in there next time to officiate it. But you notice, though, it was personally, they all tried to express warmth. And
right.
You had them gently chiding the president on Ukraine, basically doing the sort of corrections that we do and other people do in the show about whether it's a loan or whatever. But you saw yesterday, actually, Keir Starmer and Donald Trump get along much better than most people thought, even with the British Prime Minister delivering a note from King Charles requesting a state dinner, I guess, at Buckingham Palace.
Is it abnormal to shake someone's hand for 14 seconds in a grimace? That's how I usually do it.
Every time they meet, it's crazy.
I gotcha. I think the memo's gone out, and rightfully so, that the way to deal with Trump is to use flattery. And it's not that complicated. I think this is sort of the through line through all of this, which is, one of the reasons Trump is agitating towards ending the war in favorable terms for Russia, I think, frankly, is that he just has more admiration for Putin than Zelensky. He likes Putin more. And really, it's transactional, as Susan said, but it's also quite personal. Starmer, Macron, they both know that if they want to extract anything from Trump vis-a-vis concessions for the fight for Ukraine, they have to flatter him. And so you have these situations where Starmer is up there saying, "Oh, thank you, Mr. President, you've delivered this historic opportunity for peace," as if he isn't aware that Trump would have gladly handed over Ukraine to Russia the moment Russia invaded. And that's just the price of admission for dealing with Trump on the foreign stage. And I think this is a sort of distinction, I guess, between the first term, where a lot of world leaders wanted to rightfully show bravado and stand up to Trump and lecture him on the ways of the world, and it didn't really get them anywhere. This time around, they know that they have much more success, I suppose, with carrots than with sticks.